All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. This is your brother Hassan, and of course, I am joined by our beautiful youth, brother Zunair, this is Zaina, and of course, we'll be joined by another of our team member very shortly. I believe we're experiencing a little power outage because of the storm, but alhamdulillah, it's all right. Zunair and Sister Zaina, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good, Alhamdulillah. How about yourself?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I am doing well, and I'm excited for our next episode. I know it took some time. It's supposed to be what a month ago, but
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah, it's all right. Uh, Better late than never, right? All right, inshallah. So, without further ado, Zunair, how about you lead us with our presentation and go for it?
gladly. Thank you so much for the introduction, Brother Hassan. So, in this presentation, I'll be displaying the usage and importance of crystals in today's world. Now, let's just start off by watching a short video. Are you guys able to hear it?
No, we can't hear the audio. Share it again, probably, and see if
Okay.
you can make sure
I'll
the
see if I
audio.
can share it with audio this time.
Yeah. If not, just crank up the
Okay, yeah.
speakers.
Yes.
Yeah, I see the audio now.
Great.
In 1910, in the Nika mine in Mexico, the Penoles Mining Company discovered what came to be known as the Cave of Swords. It was an 80-meter long hallway with beautiful gypsum crystals growing up to 2 meters in length. Unfortunately, the cave was opened up for exploration and later tourism, which destroyed many of the crystals. 90 years later, two miners working for the same company stumbled on another cave, except this one was much, much bigger. Nika sits on an ancient fault line above a magma chamber. This heated the groundwater and filled it with sulfide ions. So when this hot sulfide brew met with the cool oxygenated water in the cave, they didn't mix exactly, they kind of sat on top of each other, but the oxygen began to diffuse into this rich sulfide soup. And slowly, at an infinitesimal pace, these crystals began to form. They have been growing for 500,000 years. Today, the largest crystal in the cave is 12 meters in length, 4 meters in diameter, and 55 tons. It is 20 times bigger than any previously known crystal. Amazingly, there's no limit to how big these crystals can get. Given enough time, they will grow ever larger. These are Fortress of Solitude crystals. They are Superman crystals. One big difference between the Fortress of Solitude and the Cave of Crystals is the temperature. The Cave of Crystals is blisteringly hot. It is 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit, and the humidity level is a constant 90%. Even wearing special cooling suits filled with ice and water, researchers were only able to spend about 40 minutes down there. These crystals grew underwater. It's only in the last 20 years this mining company has pumped out all of the groundwater so they can extract various precious ores from the area. But as soon as it doesn't make economic sense for this mining company, the crystals will be resubmerged, returned to their underwater existence. And this is probably for the best because, well, it's incredible we get the chance to study them now. That's their natural environment. It's where they grew. It's where they can keep growing. And I think considering how beautiful, but also how fragile these are, just knowing that they're under your feet, growing ever larger, is more than enough. Subscribe here and watch more videos.
So, the purpose of that video was just to show you how, or to display how magnificent crystals can be. So, let's just move on to the next slide. So, in presentation, I want you to emphasize on this question: how can a small crystal have such a big impact? So, how can something as trivial as a crystal have such a big impact on the world? So, let's start off with what is a crystal exactly? A crystal is a solid figure that is made up of a repeating pattern of geometric shapes. Crystals form when a liquid cools and hardens. During this crystallization process, molecules within the liquid pull together in a pattern, resulting in a crystal. Did you know that crystals are actually used in quartz watches and serve as a mechanism that gives the watch accurate time? This is one way to illustrate or signify the importance of crystals and show how it is a necessity to people in their everyday life. Now let's talk about the importance of crystals. One major reason is that they give us information about the structure of compounds. In biology, crystals of proteins and larger compounds give an idea of what they are made of, which helps scientists further understand the functions of the molecules. So now let's talk about uses for crystals. Quartz crystals have a natural property called piezoelectricity, an ability to generate an electrical field. So quartz crystals actually have an ability to generate an electrical field, which makes them very useful in radio and video equipment. So they can be utilized basically in radio and video equipment. And silicon crystals are used in the making the chips that power our computers and the photovoltaic cells used in solar technology. Crystals are also often cut and polished into gemstones used in jewelry. Most crystals are used as decorative objects and focal points for meditation and healing practices. Now for the experiment, which I'll pass it off to Zaina.
Jazakallah, it's in here. Why, Sams, Zaina, go for it.
Can everyone see the video?
Yes, I can see it.
Assalamu alaikum. Everyone, today I'll be showing you how to make a Terraboy crystal. Now, without further ado, let's get started with the materials needed. You'll need a cup of hot water from home, a beaker, sodium Terraboy, a fuzzy stick, and a mixing stick, which all come in the kit. The first step is to pour the hot water into the beaker. If your sink water doesn't get hot enough, you can use a teapot to heat it up. Next, you'll need all but a spoonful of the sodium Terraboy. So to do this, I first cut a slit in the corner of the packet and then poured it all onto a plate. Then, to get all but a spoonful, I took out a spoonful and used only the rest. Next, I scraped all the sodium Terraboy from the plate into the beaker. If you have a funnel, you can use it during this step to make scraping it in easier and less messy. But if you do happen to make a mess, you can always scrape it onto the plate from the edge of the table and repeat this step, which is what I did. Now, take the mixing stick and mix the hot water and sodium Terraboy together. You must mix it until you see the sodium Terraboy dissolve into the water. This took me about, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes. A lot gets stuck on the bottom, so make sure you are scraping there too. Now, for the actual shape of the crystal, wrap the fuzzy stick around the mixing stick and bend, twist, and crumble the fuzzy stick into whatever shape you want your Terraboy crystal to be. Now, dip the end of the fuzzy stick into the sodium Terraboy. Leave it for a few days. This was the progress after 1 day. You can see many crystals starting to form. There was also a lot at the bottom, as you can see right there.
That's so cool.
The progress after about 5 days. I noticed that the original shape clumped together and turned into a ball-like shape. The crystals felt like a salty snow consistency. I thought this experiment was really cool to do, and I expected the crystals to be a bit firmer because they were kind of falling off at the end. I think the majority of it formed into like the actual beaker and didn't really come together on the fuzzy stick.
And that's so cool. Jazakallah khair, Zaina, for sharing. That was a great experiment. Who knew you can make crystal at home?
Yeah.
Very nice. Jazakallah khairan again. All right, Zunair, you have a few more slides for us, or we finished the slides?
I think that was it.
If you could bring up the slides again and go to the uses of the crystals themselves. So we can have a little, a very short discussion on that, inshallah, and then we can end today. So we got to learn a few things about crystals, and one of the I appreciated the video that you shared, right? How they are under ground. So many of them are forming as we
Yeah.
speak, and they are continuing to grow. And of course, human beings have tendency to go and you know do their parts.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it for the good. Sometimes we actually make it worse. So that's why there was a recommendation to we should leave them alone, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the usage of the crystals was the quartz crystal. Is it the same one as the watches one?
Yes.
So some of the watches have crystals, huh?
Yeah. They contain crystals which help determine the time.
That's so cool, subhanallah. Like it's such a probably I would actually would be interested to know if they do the same thing with iWatches and such. Is that what it's called, right? iWatch? I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah.
Monocle.
Yeah. And the other one that you mentioned was the usage in the radio and video equipment, right?
Yes. Which was like the first base for communication.
So I wondered if, let's say, we got lost in an island, right? And we have nothing else there is, and we're trying to build a radio. Can I build a radio? Let's say I find some crystals.
Yeah. I'm sure we could recreate something like a radio using
That'd be pretty
piezoelectricity processed by the quartz crystals.
very interesting. I'll be interested to know, right? Like, what's the process would be, and how? Let's say if I was, you're stranded in an island, can we use like because it'd be life saving, right? If we
Yes. It's a
somehow
very
we
interesting topic.
can make communicate you can communicate with people around you and such. So Alia, we're just discussing some of the uses of crystals that we can have inshallah ta'ala. So we're discussing the watches have being also having crystals, and also we talked about the radios. Anything else you guys can think of? How so Zunay, you did the most of the research. Anything you can think of how crystals can be used in daily lives, or it's not
Um,
something that we can think of in daily lives, but most in probably experiments
yeah.
or
I mean,
in.
the most common use of crystals is or focal points through meditation and healing practices, which are mainly used almost every day for a
Hmm.
lot of people. And that's silicon crystals are used with photovoltaic cells used in solar technology. So basically, how we generate power for a lot of people, like solar cells and all that.
Oh, that's so cool, mashallah. So solar technology is coming mainly from crystals, huh?
That's right.
That's so cool. You get to learn something. So if somebody's interested in solar power or trying to make their own solar panels, they would have to study crystals, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they would have to incorporate something like silicon crystals.
Interesting. Hey man, that's a great usage right there. Solar, because solar power is gonna become more prominent, right? The way we're heading as the world itself, a lot is on solar power and the green energy and such. So
You could
that's so
conserve a
cool.
lot of electricity using the silicon crystals.
Very nice, very nice. Anything else, Zaina? What was your experience with the experiment that you did?
I thought it was a really cool experiment. I thought I really liked how the actual crystals turned out. I was thinking that it could also be used for other things like fake snow or something because it had that kind of consistency.
Hmm.
And
That's so cool. I'm sure when they actually in Hollywood, most likely when they make those fake snow and all those effects, I'm sure they're using crystal somewhere in there and there. Very cool. Very cool. Anything else, Sister Alia? I remember you had also shared an article about crystals. Anything that stood for you?
I guess when I was researching about it, I basically just researched about how crystals were used back then, and it was just interesting for me to see that crystals were kind of used as like um, ways like magic, or like they
Mm,
also were used as healing people as
right.
well, and like kind of they become gems as well as like to kind of tell the future in a way. That's kind of like the mystical aspect of it,
Mm,
and it was pretty prominently used for other religions as well.
interesting. I'm sure the future part though is more of other stuff. But other than that, alhamdulillah, I have heard of the medicine part as well. And definitely for meditation, a lot of that is being used now, especially nowadays and such. And different culture, as you said, may have other usage that we may not even know about. But yeah, jazakumullahu khair. And anything else you guys want to add before? I think it's a great presentation. And for those who are joining, just to share, mashallah, this is the team of our bite-sized science experiments. Alhamdulillah, the goal is to do an experiment every 2 to 3 weeks, learn more about it, and then again, like today, we learned if you want to do solar power, or which is a big thing, right? So it's one of the big things that are coming, or solar panels as such. You would have to learn more about crystals, and if you're trying to make it more efficient for your business, like or invention's sake, whatever you want to do, definitely you will have to study more about crystals. So, Jazakallahu khairan, Brother Zunair, Sister Zaina, Sister Aya, mashallah. Wouldn't have been doing this without you all. And of course, we're missing our one key member as well, Brother Ayan. Inshallah, we'll have him soon back with us as well. Um, Anything else you guys want to add before we end today? I think this was a great presentation. Jazakumullahu khairan. Learn a lot about it. I wish I can find crystals under my house as well, but a lot of digging that has to be done. And of course, as you said, they form naturally, so we can't just dig anywhere. So that's true, right? I can't just dig anywhere and find crystals.
Yeah, but while I was researching the Terraboy Crystal, I found there was also this other way. You can make them out of borax. So if you have that at your house, you should research that and you can try to make them.
Borax, yes, it's a common cleaning tool, so most of the people would have it. I'm guessing. I would hope. All right. Anything else you guys want to add before we end today? Alhamdulillah, I think this is great. Jazakumullah khairan. I got to learn a lot more. I'm sure everybody who's watching got to learn a lot about crystals. Anything else you guys want to share?
Just wanted to say for everyone stopping by, thank you for attending and participating.
Definitely. Thank you very much. All right. Next time is Zunair's my turn to do the experiment, and somebody else will have to take the lead on the presentation. All right. So Zaina is going for the presentation. Zunair, you have to pick your experiment, and we're excited to check it out. What do you pick? Do you have in mind what you're trying to do, or?
I'm not sure yet.
Cool. Take your time, and inshallah, looking forward to it. With that being said, Jazakumullahu khairan, everybody, for joining in. May Allah reward you all. Thank you again. And we'll end with dua. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha ant wa astaghfiruka wa ilayk. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Take care, inshallah.